All right, so I'm going to humble myself and share something with you all. Something I hate that I do, but it's a valuable lesson, and maybe I can help someone else not become like me. So, first thing I want to explain is a concept that I know of from the automotive production world, and it comes from Japanese production culture, Toyota, Honda, one of the two, I'm not sure, and it's called Yoke. P-O-K-E, new word Y-O-K-E. And Yoke refers to, so far as I know, in Japanese, it means foolproof or error-proof. And I'll give you a simple example of Yoke. These outlets are yoked. So if you have a three-prong terminal, you can only plug it in one way. You'll notice there's a small, a big, and a round. If you didn't have the ground post, some of the plugs are polarized, so you want to do it the right way. Another example is USB. You cannot plug USB in backward. It won't let you, no matter how hard you try. So that's something that we call yoked, meaning basically you cannot do it wrong. The design forces you to do it right. So I'll show you another yoke. This has 3, 6, 8 terminals, and the 9th is blank. On the corresponding connector, there is not a hole in this spot. It is filled in. So if you were to try and plug it in like this terminal would run into the blank and it wouldn't let you do it. So this is yoked. You cannot install this wrong without absolutely destroying everything. Okay, one last thing which is yoked, and then I'll show you what isn't. So if you look at this connector, this piece connects into this piece, and you will see that you have a tab here and a tab here. One is way thicker than the other. And you will also see that this has a tab here, a corresponding slot, and a bigger slot here. So this is basically yoked. You would have to try very, very, very hard to shove this in that direction. Now, you could argue that this isn't completely yoked because it could be done because it's cheap plastic, but it's visually yoked, where if someone handed this to you in pieces and you didn't know how it went back together, you could figure it out. Now, here's what isn't yoked. So you have these 3 posts and you have these 3 holes or cylinders. This is not yoked. You can do this one of 3 ways. And when I was taking it apart, I did not pay attention to see how it was supposed to go back together. Thankfully, I had another one that I hadn't taken apart yet, so I used this as a reference, and I just went back out to the mower, and it starts and works. So I'm saved. Now, you could, of course, trial and error this in all 3 positions and see if it's working, but that's a pain in the butt. And if you have a part that you're not even sure is right or working, then you can't test it on a mower because, well, you don't know if you did it wrong or if that's what your problem is. The other thing that's not yoked is how this fits into here and exactly where that works. Again, you can trial and error that because in theory, the key should only come out in the off position, and when you get to the cranking position, it should be spring loaded. So you can trial and error that, but it's very frustrating to have to go through trial and errors like that when you're taking things apart and you weren't paying close attention. Now, I'm 35. I started as a flat rate mechanic at 17. That experience taught me to rush. It taught me that the faster you worked, the more valuable you were, the more money you made. And so I tend to work fast, and I tend to make these kinds of mistakes more often than I'd like to admit to you or to myself. I hate it about myself. I wish that I was more patient. I wish that I took more pictures. I wish that as I removed something, I kind of thought, okay, how is this going to go back together? Because it's always later when you go to reassemble it, you realize, aha, I don't remember if it's this way or this way or this way. A lot of times you can figure it out. Every once in a while you can't. You find yourself scouring the internet for a picture or a video, and you feel like an absolute fool because you're smart enough to fix a complicated thing, but you're not smart enough to figure out if this goes back in like this or this or this. So that's the concept of yoke. In automotive, most things are yoked, so you don't have to keep that frame of mind. But in smaller industries like small engine supply, those kinds of things often aren't yoked. So pay attention, use your phone, take pictures, be patient, realize that the amount of time you're going to spend at the end looking for information on how these things go back together is going to offset the fact that you were rushing earlier and weren't paying attention. And as I get older, I hope that I learn these lessons more and more, but I didn't today. So that's me trying to be transparent with you guys. Poka yoke, pay attention, take pictures, take care.